Beach, we're going to the beach, as we're headed back to Hyakkayouran for the summer, as the new Swimsuit Hyakkayouran event is finally arriving to Blue Archive Global this coming Tuesday, marking the debuts of Swimsuit Yukari and Swimsuit Kikyo as the new permanent 3-star units, while Swimsuit Renge is the game's new 2-star unit. Though throughout this event, you'll only be able to get her in Swimsuit Kikyo's banner, but afterwards, you can get her from any banner as per usual. For this video, I will be reviewing Swimsuit Yukari, whereas Swimsuit Kikyo and Swimsuit Renge will be reviewed in a separate video. Link will be in the pinned comment once it's up. Anyways, without further ado, here is a short review of Swimsuit Yukari. Boys, I freaking love the Hyakkayouran girls, especially their swimsuits. And now we've got the youngest kohai of the group and the main character of Volume 5 Chapter 1. It's the adorable heiress of the Cardinal Koji family with squishable cheeks. It's Swimsuit Yukari, Desuno. Holy hell, Yukari has arguably one of the hottest swimsuits in the game. And not only does she still look classy and high class, but her cuteness still prevails. Like, I can't stress this enough, she's so freaking hot. Especially because of the black swimsuit, I don't know what it's called, but with the boob window and the straps overlapping each other and the ring around her chest. Good golly gumdrops fellas, it's a perfect fit for her giant badonka dongs, Desuno. I also want to be that strap on her left squishable thigh, plus the many accessories like the bangles on her hand, the sunglasses, the flower decoration, the Hyakkayouran shawl, help return her image as a princess from a high-class family. And it's easy to forget that she's only 15, Desuno. I've also always been a huge fan of her long purple hair, cause not only is it my favorite color, but I really love long hairstyles. Hers especially is quite unique, and I think it adds to her adorable charm. Even personality-wise, I like Yukari a lot. I admire her passion in helping others in need, as well as her innocence in learning new things like playing video games, eating kombini food, and etc. She's cute yet inspiring and probably one of my favorite main characters in the game's main story so far. And I hope we get to see more of her whenever Volume 5 Chapter 3 rolls around. Finally, Lord of Mercy, that L2D is insane! That belly button that'll have my baby in full view, as well as that swimsuit with those squishy thighs and her delighted expression with the fang, wanting to hug us even as we're drowning. Whoa, I can't take it anymore. I love you, Yukari. You can't wear that swimsuit and be so cute and hot and not expect Sensei to fall in love with you. We're gonna make a new heir for the Cardinal Koji family behind the rocks. Whoa, Desuno! So, what kind of student is she? Well, Swimsuit Yukari is a piercing DPS striker with red armor, whose terrain modes are as follows: D combat power in urban terrains, B combat power in field, and S combat power indoors. Plus, she uses the standard DPS equipment set consisting of hat, pin, and watch. Desuno. Now, let's discuss her skills. Swimsuit Yukari is primarily a strong yellow AoE damage dealer with a fairly simple kit, and unlike a lot of the other current yellow DPS units who are mainly mobbers, she can actually dish out proper AoE damage thanks to her EX skill. With it, she can deal yellow AoE damage to enemies in a round-shaped area with its 1060% multiplier at max level. This skill is very straightforward, as it basically allows her to dish out a ton of good yellow AoE damage to a group of durable yellow armored enemies, especially because of its pretty high multiplier. Not to mention, its radius is also pretty wide. It's similar to other units like Rain, Nagisa, and Swimsuit Koharu. However, the downside of her EX is its expensive 6 costs, so you need to pair her with cost-cutting units in order to halve it down to a cheap 3, as well as Rio to copy and reduce it slightly. Next, for a level 10 basic skill, she increases her piercing effectiveness by 55.5% for 30 seconds every 35 seconds. With this potent buff being extremely useful because it greatly boosts her yellow weakness damage. Plus, the 35-second proc time is not that bad, and there's only a 5-second downtime between activations after the initial one. Her sub-skill at max level passively increases her attack by 25.5%, and her cost recovery is improved by 12.59% for 10 seconds every time she uses her EX skill twice. Not only is the permanent attack buff good for more firepower, but the extra cost recovery can also be particularly useful cause it generally benefits the whole team, as the cost meter will recover more rapidly, allowing her to activate her EX faster while executing rotations easier and quicker. While her EX's exorbitant 6 cost might make this skill harder to trigger, especially if you use her alone, again this is why you'd use her with cost reduction units like Seiya and Ui, who can halve the cost of her next 2 EX, as well as Rio, so that she can launch her EX in quick successions with her duplication, resulting in more cost recovery improvement. Moving on, her enhanced skill increases her attack, and her enhanced skill plus at UE40 ups her piercing effectiveness by 49.4%, with the latter being quite needed on higher difficulty content and if you're using her as the team's main damage dealer, cause combined with her basics buff results in her having a 104.9% piercing effectiveness buff. Lastly, at UE50, her indoor combat power is upgraded from S to SS, while her UE60 grants her an additional 10% piercing effectiveness. While these are both decent investments, less so the latter, cause the damage increase will diminish as you already have a lot of piercing effectiveness. You don't exactly need them unless you really like Yukari / have the Pyroxenes or Eligma to spare, as these levels can be very expensive. Overall, Swimsuit Yukari is a strong yellow AoE DPS unit who can deal good amounts of AoE damage as a result of her high multipliers and potent self-buffs in her kit. Now, where can Swimsuit Yukari be used in? Well, despite being a strong piercing AoE damage dealer, there hasn't really been much content since her release that calls for such units. However, she has been used in some yellow content, such as the specific indoor joint firing drill, which is actually the next JFD for global. It'll come out in a few weeks, as a powerful EX can take out the Amas bots quickly due to her advantageous terrain and the Hyakkayouran students' damage dealt increase mechanic. That being said, her main use so far lies against Yellow Tifaref, the final restriction boss. I won't go into detail about the boss's mechanics cause I've already done so previously, but essentially, Swimsuit Yukari has become one of the main damage dealers and the premier AoE unit for the yellow armored version of this boss. Cause with her EX, she will be able to defeat the 4 laborers that spawn whenever Tiff activates his cores, preventing him from healing himself whenever he deactivates his cores and recalls the laborers. Plus, for every laborer kill, it deals damage to Tiff equal to 1% of his max HP while increasing his groggy gauge. Not to mention, since her AoE EX can damage the cores too while killing the laborers, she will be able to deal a bit more damage to him. Not only that, during the laser sequence whenever his ATG gauge is full, where your units will run around the arena's perimeter to avoid the giant one-shot rotating laser, Swimsuit Yukari's AoE EX will be useful in destroying these summoned barricades that can block your students. Though unlike the purple version where you have Nozomi to clear almost, if not all of them in one go, you will need to use Yukari's a few times and time it correctly to take out as many as you can. Thus again, you'd pair her with cost-cutting units and Rio so she can launch her EX multiple times during this phase and throughout the whole battle really. Hence, with all these, Swimsuit Yukari has become an important unit for this boss, having been picked in a lot of Sensei's teams as her EX is strong enough to clear out the yellow armored laborers while taking less damage from his yellow attacks from floor 50 onwards. And especially on the higher floors, her UE40 and possibly UE50 will be needed as the extra piercing effectiveness, improved terrain mood, and additional stats allow her to hit way harder. Not to mention, there currently aren't many proper yellow AoE options who can effectively deal with the laborers, as most of them are mobbers and don't have enough firepower, with the exception of Swimsuit Hasumi, who by the way can actually replace Swimsuit Yukari in this raid, as she too can take out the laborers quickly with her EX, even potentially putting out higher damage than Yukari. However, many senseis prefer our adorable high-class lady because of her better terrain mood as well as her easier to use round-shaped EX compared to Hasumi's EX's cone-shaped radius. Aside from those, Swimsuit Yukari sadly hasn't seen much use in other content. However, as a strong yellow AoE damage dealer, she could potentially be used in certain raids, such as Indoor Yellow Pararodzilla to deal damage to the Pararo minions, perhaps Yellow Indoor Gregorius when it returns, as well as a potential Yellow Kurokage. While she could be a decent choice for Indoor Yellow Cheese Phase 1, it's a bit of a risk as she takes more damage from the minions' raid attacks, plus there are other yellow mobbers who are more suited to the task. So overall, should you pull for Swimsuit Yukari? Well, in my opinion, if you want to succeed in Yellow Armored Tifaref, like taking on the higher floors and doing well against this boss, then sure, you can pull for her as she will be a big help in beating this boss. Though you will possibly need a more invested Swimsuit Yukari like UE40 to take on the harder stages. Or if you just want a strong yellow AoE DPS unit, perhaps for any future yellow armored raid that needs these units. However, you may also skip Swimsuit Yukari as she has only really been used in Tifaref ref so far. And if you're not interested in final restriction, then there isn't a need to pull and you may simply borrow her instead. Plus, it's also not worth pulling her just for that one GFT that's coming, cause again, you can't just borrow her from someone in your club/friends list who has the pyroxenes to do so. Not to mention, the 4.5 anniversary units are releasing next month, so in my opinion, you can just save your pyroxenes for them, and it's technically cheaper to try and get Swimsuit Hasumi instead, who can also be used for Tifa ref since the banner will have free 100 pulls. However, if Yukari is your waifu and you want to drown with her in her L2D, then disregard everything I said and go ahead and pull for her, Desuno. And that's all for this review, Desuno. Again, the Swimsuit Kikyo and Swimsuit Ring Gear reviews will be in a separate video. I'll leave the link to it in the pinned comment once it's up. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know who you're pulling for if you are. Good luck with your pulls, and I'll see y'all in the next one, Desuno.